Hey there YouTube, welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time here, my name's Diana and we discuss eating a gluten-free, vegan, plant-based lifestyle. On today's video, happy Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving, however you like to say it. So my family's coming over. Obviously they're not vegan, they're not gonna be making anything vegan to eat for me. They offered, but I love to cook, so I'm gonna make my own things. Today we're gonna do a spin. I'm kind of making it up as we go, but we're gonna make a vegetable protein, high protein mac and cheese. And for dessert, we're gonna make some pumpkin brownies. I may slip a little pumpkin into the mac and cheese too, because why not? All right, so we're gonna get started. I'm probably gonna do a lot of voiceovers because there's gonna be a lot going on today, and I'll try to take you with me as much as I can with what we're filming. I'm doing a rendition of Loopy Whisks. If you haven't seen her channel or her Instagram, go check her out. She's pretty cool. She does a lot of recipes gluten-free, a lot of them vegan, although she doesn't, I don't think she's either, but she does accommodate allergens. So I will say, we got our ingredients out for her brownie, pumpkin brownie recipe. Did find jovial noodles to make the mac and cheese. So stick with me. I'll try to take you through everything I'm doing. I'll put the recipes in the links below. Mine for the mac and cheese is kind of not really a recipe written down, so I'll try to describe it as best as I can as we go. I don't really measure when I cook. Baking obviously is a whole different ball game. So, all right, stick with me. All right, so for the pumpkin pie filling, I did 300 grams or 1.5 cups of pumpkin puree. Instead of eggs, I did applesauce. I did light brown sugar. Instead of heavy cream, I did just soy milk because that's all I had. I used cornstarch, the cinnamon, the ginger, the nutmeg. I didn't have ground cloves. I only had whole ones, and I was not about to grind them. I had salt, a pinch of salt, and a pinch of ground pepper. And then what I did was I added this mixture to my brownies because this is for the brownie recipe. But I actually ended up reserving some of this because it tasted so good for my mac and cheese later, which you'll see in a little bit. Okay, so for the brownie batter, I totally messed up. I haven't baked in a really long time, guys, but I was supposed to melt the chocolate morsels or whatever dark chocolate you were using with the butter, and I was supposed to leave the flour and everything else separate. I kind of just was rushing and forgot. So it's okay. I sort of fixed it all. I just put it on a double boiler and melted it all down, and the ingredients were already in there. It's probably not ideal for baking because of chemistry and all that, but as you'll see in the next clip, it all worked out. It all melted. It all came out really great. And then you'll see these lumps. Those are actually the marshmallows that I used in my Trader Joe's video for the fall haul. If you didn't check that out, I'll put a link. But I threw those in at the last minute. I'm not sure if I'm regretting it right now or not, but that's why it looks kind of lumpy. Then I decided I wanted to add some more texture to the brownies. So I wanted to add some walnuts. So we couldn't just do plain old raw walnuts. I decided to roast some in my skillet here. So I just threw some in. I had already cooked them. And this is how they came out, all nice and buttery and toasted. And then I cut them up so then I could add them to my brownie mixture, which is what I did next. All right, so next I started on my mac and cheese, and I used silken tofu. I used a whole package, and I added it to a Vitamix blender. And in there, I included seasonings, so like salt. I think I did fresh garlic. I did nutritional yeast. I added soy milk, and then I added in well, I was going to add in Daya cheese. I don't know if I added it to the blender. I think I just kind of added it later to the sauce. But I just really wanted to get the silken tofu broken down a little more liquidy. So I just really did some milk and some seasonings. Then I got my pasta boiling and set that on one pot. And then in the pot next to it, I started a roux with some vegan butter and some cornstarch. Ignore the gravy mix in the background. I did not use that. That was for my mom. Then I poured the contents of the silken tofu into the roux, and it made this nice, thick looking bechamel type sauce. It didn't taste wonderful yet, but obviously I kept seasoning. I added cheese, the Daya and the Follow Your Heart. I added lots more seasoning, and it slowly pretty much got there. It really started coming together. It had really good taste, the texture was there, but you know, it took a long time to get the flavor I wanted. So I just kind of kept stirring and adding and stirring and adding and tasting. The key is really just tasting as you go, as a lot of you probably already know that if you cook. All right, so once I got the saltiness down of how I like the sauce, I decided to add in the rest of that pumpkin pie filling, I guess you could call it, from the brownie mix. And that's what that orange is there that you see. So I added that in, and it added a nice creamy element via texture to the sauce. But it also added a nice sweetness. So the sauce really has that nutty pumpkin flavor now, from all the seasonings and everything that were in that filling. So it actually tasted really good, really rich and decadent. All right, next I made my famous Kimberly Snyder walnut parm in the Vitamix because once I was done assembling my mac and cheese, I wanted that crusty texture on top. Sort of like when you bake mac and cheese and you add breadcrumbs. I decided not to bake my mac and cheese mainly because gluten-free noodles, I'm sorry, but they don't really uphold extra cook time or like a waiting period, I guess you could say. So even though these noodles waited a little bit to jump into the pumpkin pool of deliciousness there, I had to check on my brownies. And guys, I'm sorry, they look like a hot mess express, but the marshmallows did float to the top, even though they were like further down in the dish. It did come out really ooey gooey looking, and I will show you in a little clip later about how they came out. But that's them in the oven. I kept them in a little longer than she suggested cooking them for because, like I said, I added some things and I think I did the recipe wrong, but that's okay. So this is what it looked like. The marshmallows got really big. It looks really yummy and delicious, but it came out really gooey. And I don't know if it's just because I added in the pumpkin and I didn't do it correctly and I used other ingredients. I'm not sure. All right, so the walnut parm is done. I was really excited that I had made that. And then I also took a bag of kale lettuce mix. I just buy the sweet kale salad mix. I don't use the dressing, but it had like the craisins and the pepita seeds in it. So I just tossed that and put it in a big bowl for anyone that wanted salad. It was just another extra thing to add to my meal. And then I used follow your heart parm in the walnut parm, and then I also sprinkled a little more on top with the walnut parm for the top of the mac and cheese, just to give it some extra sharp cheesiness to the dish. So I completely forgot to film it, but I did take a picture of the Brussels sprouts and mushrooms that I air fried, and then I mixed them into the mac and cheese. So I had some extra veggies. So this is the mac and cheese final product with the walnut parm and the shredded Parmesan on top. It has the Brussels sprouts and the mushrooms in it, and it also was made with tofu, so it's got that high protein. I also had my mom make green beans with vegan butter, and then I had the salad. So super excited to dig into this. And then I basically put my plate together. So it was the green beans, the salad, and the mac and cheese. Lots of high veggies, lots of protein, super creamy, super delicious. I really, really enjoyed it. The brownie, I wish it had come out better, but that's okay. It was just really ooey gooey. There's some fruit there too. I did end up having some fruit. There's the brownie kind of cut out of the casserole. Tasted really good. It just was really mushy gushy, but that's okay. All right, guys, so that's gonna wrap up this video. I'm so full. We ate lots of yummy food. I appreciate you all coming along and watching. I hope you all had a wonderful, happy Thanksgiving with all your friends and family. I'm gonna go watch some movies with mine, probably some Home Alone. Appreciate you all tuning in. If you liked what you saw, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. And as always, happy Thanksgiving and stay driven.